In this episode, we are back in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and we are going to visit the Fort Smith National Historic Site. I'm going to show you Judge Parker's courtroom, historic jails, and the historic gallows. After that, we're going to enjoy some really good Italian food downtown, just around the corner from our hotel at Prima Italia. Buckle up. So I have read about the Fort Smith National Historic Site for a very long time, but this is my first time going in, and I'm really looking forward to it. This historic site preserves almost 80 years of history. So from the establishment of the first Fort Smith on December 25th, 1817 to the final days of Judge Isaac C. Parker's jurisdiction over Indian Territory in 1896, it's all here. As I'm sure you can tell, this is the jail that is in the basement. And I read every single plaque that there is. I took a photo of one of the plaques so I could tell you about it, and it says that in the dim squalor of this dingy basement, the federal court confined its prisoners for nearly 17 years. 2 large, overcrowded cells each held 30 to 50 inmates at a time. Guards filled the ceiling space with sawdust in an effort to keep the stench of unbathed prisoners and slop buckets from wafting into the courtroom and offices above. In 1886, a woman by the name of Anna Dawes published an article in the Congressional Record. Her article gave a more personal account of the living conditions here at the federal jail in Fort Smith, and she had a scathing criticism and denounced the jail as a piece of medieval barbarity. She described the 2 large rooms with no light except what came from the underground windows and no ventilation and the smell. She wrote, "The worst fact in the whole disgraceful series is the fact that the national government knows all about this horror. What excuse has the government of the United States to offer for the existence and continuance of this scandal?" And that is when Congress passed legislation appropriating $50,000 to build this new jail. This is an example of what the new jail looked like. It was 3 stories tall, and you would have the worst criminals on the bottom with the minor offenses on the top. From the way I understand it, this kept the most crazy people on the bottom where they couldn't drop things on your head or possibly spit on you. By the way, $50,000 back then is equivalent to about $1.3 million now. While you're here, you will learn that during the day, prisoners could leave their cells and roam through the iron cage that's around the outside. Each night, the guards signaled the prisoners to return to their cells by running a rod through the iron bars and jingling it. With the prisoners safely in their cells, a guard then threw a lever with the rod, moving a locking mechanism that secured each cell door. This enabled guards to safely enter the cage and individually lock each cell for the night. In the morning, jailers reversed the process to allow prisoners out of their cells.
The sound of justice.
It feels very, very claustrophobic. This other upstairs area has some really neat exhibits that are worth spending some time reading. They also have some really great artifacts. One of the coolest areas is the replica of Judge Parker's courtroom. The courtroom may have looked like this during the 17 years it served the Western District of Arkansas. What I thought was interesting is that they said there are no historic photographs or sketches of his courtroom. Historians relied on written descriptions and receipts for purchases to provide clues about the furnishings and their locations. This is the Fort Smith courtroom that was used from 1872 to 1889, and this is reproduction furniture. The chair is a reproduction of, say what it might have looked like, of the one used by Judge Parker, which that's pretty cool.
The original is at the Fort Smith Museum of History, which is across the street.
The original is at the Fort Smith Museum of History. So this is a reproduction. It's a pretty courtroom, and there's a picture of Judge Parker over the fireplace. At least I think that's Judge Parker. There's a picture of him over here on this other side, and it kind of looks the same. Okay, so that actually might not be Judge Parker at all. I think it might be President Grant from the time. I don't know. Apparently I should have read another plaque. This is an initial point marker from 1858. It was set to mark a survey of the boundary between Arkansas and Indian Territory. Just outside the courthouse is a replica of Judge Parker's gallows. Now, if you know anything about history at all, then you know that Judge Parker was nicknamed the Hanging Judge. The plaque states that with the largest criminal jurisdiction of any federal court at that time, the Western District of Arkansas handled an extraordinary number of extreme cases. When a jury found defendants guilty in these capital cases, federal law mandated the death penalty. During the 24 years that federal executions took place in Fort Smith, 87 men died on the gallows. It also states that while Judge Isaac C. Parker sat on the bench, 160 people, including 4 women, were sentenced to hang. Of course, they all didn't. Just over half received a reprieve from the executions through pardons, appeals, and other ways. And some of them just died in jail. This building that still stands today is very much as it appeared in the 1890s. It was first built as military barracks, and it was later converted for use as a courthouse and a jail. The jail, like I showed you, was in the bottom floor. The original barracks were the main floor, and the courthouse was the second floor. To have ample time to experience all of the exhibits here and read all the plaques and understand what's going on, it would be best to set aside a few hours. There is a lot of information to take in here. Our plan today was to visit the Fort Smith National Historic Site, which we just left, commonly known as Judge Parker's Courthouse. And we did the U.S. Marshals Museum, but we also wanted to see the Fort Smith Museum of History that seems to be right across the lawn, and the Fort Smith Regional Art Museum. And we didn't even explore the downtown plaques. So there are historic downtown plaques, and then some of the artwork, which I've shown you some of that. Oh, we did see the skate and bike park, which is really cool. But Fort Smith has proven to be just full of history, of course, but so many things to see that we cannot complete our agenda for today because there's just so much.
We would need 6 days instead of 3.
Unless we just wanted to completely run through all the museums and not read stuff and just photograph it all, we could do it like that. But to really take it in and understand what you're looking at, it takes a lot of time, and it's worth it because there are a lot of cool exhibits. But we're just going to try to fit in some of those other things we missed today at another time.
The Marshals Museum was really good, and we spent a lot of time because it was really good. We would like to do all of that when we have even more time to stretch it out.
Yeah. Definitely there's a lot to see in Fort Smith. It's worth the trip to come over here, and in the description of this video, I will put a link to the article that has our full itinerary so you can follow along and see the same exact spots that I've shown in this video. So don't overlook Fort Smith. There's a ton to do here. Tomorrow is going to be completely different because I don't think we're doing anything historical tomorrow. We're just doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff that you're going to like. But anyway, onward. I have really been loving the views out our window here at the Wyndham. We're on the 9th floor, which is the top floor. So we get this bird's eye view of the city. The sun's going down right now, and it's actually going down on the other side of the hotel. so we didn't get to see it go down, but the color is beautiful. And then when the night lights come on, I just like to sit and watch traffic, like a little puppy dog. Timothy likes to watch the waterfall that's in the lobby, so I guess you could say this hotel has something for everyone. We are leaving to go to eat dinner at Prima Italia. I guess I said that right. And I'm ready because after all that running around today, I am excited. So I can't wait to see what they have there and just sit down and relax at a restaurant. We realized that this restaurant is actually just right across the block from Wyndham. So we just walked through the parking deck and it's right here. I don't care. I literally That was absolutely fantastic. I cannot say enough good things about Prima Italiana. What'd you think, babe?
All the entrees were excellent. The desserts were really good. Tiramisu was amazing. And the service was really incredible.
Yes, our server was Vincent, and he was so nice and so attentive and just polite and wonderful. We had a great time. We are absolutely exhausted from today and just looking forward to getting back to the hotel and getting a good night's sleep because our schedule tomorrow is gonna be amazing. We have so much more left to do here in Fort Smith, like climbing gyms, more restaurants, more history. If you liked this video, please remember to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you around the natural state.